All right, here we go in three, two, one. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 285, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph. That man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
We are back for another week of quarantine special. Can't miss a week recording when we're in quarantine. Oh,
That's
and
right. What else are we
speaking
gonna do?
speaking of quarantine, I gotta show you this. So, have you ever been stuck inside a house so much so that you actually couldn't open the doors to go outside?
No, I've never had that happen.
Yeah, so hold on one second as I apparently don't have that picture because I put it on Facebook. It didn't save it to my camera. That's retarded. So now I gotta find it. So, yep, here we go. So this, can we see that? Oh, there it goes. That is a picture of a window.
Yeah.
And here's another picture of a window. Can you
Yes.
see? Can you see what's up on the outside of this window? Oh shit! Right, like here. Can you tell what's there in the picture?
I cannot.
It's plastic. We we got plastic wrapped in. We're getting our house painted, and normally when you get your house painted, you're not at home. Like you'd leave in the morning, schedule it. They'd come. They'd paint the outside of your house. You get home, your house is painted. Voila, it's done. In and out before you even know it. But when you're quarantined and are stuck at home, then they wrap all the doors and windows in plastic so that when they're spraying, it doesn't get on the windows. But then it makes you feel like you are literally stuck inside. If you open the door, there's plastic. Like, we can't actually get out of the house. Like, this was the first day from the time I got up in the morning until about 4:30. We did not go outside at all for anything. Didn't check the mail, didn't let the dogs out. There were four people and two dogs in this house for the entire time. Like,
I feel bad for the dogs.
yeah, me too. Like by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they are prancing around this house because we didn't really know that like what was gonna happen because we've never had somebody paint our house before, and we sure as shit haven't been here when somebody painted a house. So we did not realize how locked down you really get. That was interesting today.
I would say so.
You really kind of felt like the boy in the bubble.
That's where my mind went. I was like, "You're John Travolta."
Yeah. If only I was really John Travolta. Hmm.
Or at
That'd
least
be
have his money.
yeah. And his plane, pilot's license. That'd be nice. But anyway, house is painted. They're coming back to do the last of the touch ups and um, finish putting on storm doors and all that stuff. So it was amazing watching these guys work and how quick they got it done. Yesterday afternoon they came out and dropped off the ladders, did all the prep work, power washed the house and caulked all the holes and all that stuff and then came back this morning. Was here about 8 o'clock this morning, and from 8 o'clock until about 4:15, they worked nonstop, um, painting the house and painting all the trim, and it was freaking impressive.
Nice. Yeah, I've always painted the houses myself. Yeah, it took a lot longer than that.
Right? Yeah, so I painted this house when shortly after we moved in, but that was about 15 years ago when I painted this house. And so and when I painted the house, I was one, not like I was a lot younger than I am now. Two, my parents and my wife's parents were a lot younger. And so we had all these people over at the house. My wife had access to scaffolding. My neighbor at the time, his dad had a commercial paint sprayer. So, like commercial quality, you stuck a hose in a 5 gallon bucket and could spray the house. Like, so we knocked it out in. We, we did the painting in 2 days, a Saturday and a Sunday. But, I mean, it took us weeks of doing the prep work and power washing the house and caulking all the holes and you know I mean these guys fixed wood rot that they had found, did all the prep work, power washed the house, painted the house all in less like it was pretty close to 24 hours, and that included time for
Jeez.
them to sleep.
Jeez.
I mean, realistically you put it all in total, so I mean 8, let's say 8 to 4 today is, you know, that's a normal day's worth of work. And then
That's
yesterday,
8 hours.
yeah, and then yesterday they maybe had a couple hours, maybe let's say, hmm, let's say 2 hours, maybe three.
So
So
10,
in
11 hours.
Yeah, so in under 12 hours of working time, they did all the prep work and painted the house. And they're probably only got like an hour or two tomorrow morning to come out and finish up. They've got a couple storm doors to put on, to put back on, and a little bit of. They still have some plastic that they left up on so the windows in the front of the house, which were the last ones that they had painted the trim around.
Yeah, it's amazing when you've got the right tools and enough people. The people across the street from us had a giant tree removed.
Yeah.
The tree company showed up just at noon, right at noon, straight up 12 o'clock. And I looked out the door at 2 o'clock. The tree was down and they were gone.
Holy cow. Yeah. Yeah.
All that was left was they had everything stacked up. And then the next day, a truck came in with this crane, with this miniature crane, and just picked up all the big logs and put them in the back of the truck, and then they were gone. I'd say grand total 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's kind of cool because I have a couple trees I want to have taken down. So quarantine time may be the time to get somebody out here and do that. So
Yep. Yep. That was
because
yeah.
my trees are so old, and every time a slight breeze comes up, my yard gets full of limbs.
Yeah.
Every time we get a thunderstorm, I'm like, is this when the tree comes down?
Yeah. I
So I
know what
need
you
to
mean.
take it down before it falls down.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the this has definitely been the time of like we want to do some home improvements. There's stuff that we want to done, like getting the house painted. We want our deck redone too, um, and it's something that I could do. Same thing with painting the house. I could have done it, but you know what? It's kind of one of those. It's like, hey,
You're
why?
helping the economy.
Yeah, exactly. We're helping the economy, and honestly, it's gonna get done faster and in better quality than if I do it. So,
Yeah, my house needs to be painted, but I'm actually juggling with the idea of doing vinyl siding.
mm.
And because I'm insane, I'm actually struggling with the idea of doing it myself. And my wife keeps looking at me like you're nuts. You're not going to do that. She's probably right,
Yeah, yeah,
but
she should be right.
yeah, she's well, there's no probably. She's right. But I would really like to do it myself, but
Maybe you can just hire somebody and then say, "Hey, for the day, I will help you do it."
Yeah, they'd be like, no, that's be like going backwards. So,
How about you just bring out a lawn chair and you sit here with your whiskey and you watch us do it?
yeah. So that brings up something. So a lot of things I see online are people talking about taking this time to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Are you learning any new skills?
No. Yes. Yes, I am. You know what my new skill is? I'm learning a new skill of being a teacher, and also patience. I am learning patience on a whole nother level than what patience I've had to have before. That is a skill. Patience is a skill,
I would agree.
and I am being
I don't
forced
have
to
any
learn
because I'm
it.
very unskilled.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have any new skills that you're learning?
Well, I don't know if I'm learning any new skills. I'm just honing the fledgling skills that I have. And that is really upping my arsenal of cooking
Yeah.
and auto mechanics.
Auto mechanics.
Yep, I'm going to, well, I guess you could call it auto mechanics. So the driver's side window on my car stopped rolling down. It's electric.
Yeah.
So I
Boogie
did
woogie
some
woogie.
diagnostics, figured out I needed a new switch. I get the new switch next week. So I'll be installing that. So we'll see how that goes.
Interesting. All right.
And then my wife's car is old and the stereo really hasn't worked great. So I bought a stereo off of Crutchfield. I'll be installing that this weekend.
Well, there you go. Now, stereo I have done, and I've installed a switch for not for Windows though. It was for like a power locks. I've done that switch before, but
Yeah,
that
the
was a
switch is
long
going to
time
be a
ago.
piece of cake, honestly.
The hardest part is gonna be taking the door apart to get to it.
No, you don't even have to do that on mine.
Oh, really?
You take a flat edge screwdriver and you pry up this little plate,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
there's a couple of screws, and then you pull. The hard part, honestly, is going to be taking man-sized hands and fitting in that little gap and pulling in because it's got that little piece on the plug you got to push in as you're pulling the plug
Yep.
out.
Yep.
That's going to be the hardest part of the whole thing.
Yep.
My door may not survive if that plug doesn't come out easily. Just saying. Coming from a guy who punched a laptop. So
Yeah.
these things are going to happen.
You're gonna need a new car.
But I've done the stereo thing before. I did it in my car. I have a 2004 Honda CRV, and I put a aftermarket in that bad boy.
Yeah.
And that's actually not too bad. On the CRV, it's not that bad. My wife's 97 Civic, you practically got to take the entire dash apart.
Well, yeah, that doesn't
And
surprise me.
the car is tiny. I am not. So the part I'm not looking forward to is taking the dash apart.
Yeah.
The installation of the stereo is going to be easy.
Yeah, because those '90s cars, it's like the entire dash, like the console in the middle, and then the dash across the entire front of the car, all like has to come off.
Well, I watched a video, and you know you're in trouble when the video starts off. Take everything out of the glove box. I need to do that for. And then you have to take the glove box out so you can get to a screw.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, what the hell? And then it's like, okay, now we're done with this side. And then you go to the driver's side and you got a couple of more screws and you pop this big thing out. And then you got to do some other things. And then way underneath at the back of the stereo is one little screw that you got to get out or you can't get the stereo out.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And if the car had no seats, I think it would be fairly easy to do
Right.
because I could just,
Lay down where the
lay
seat
with
goes.
my feet on the back seat and
Yeah.
then I could be under the dash doing all this stuff. But no, No.
So in other words, what you're saying is you need to take the seats out of the car so that you can do this.
I'm gonna make my own YouTube video. Instead of starting with take everything out of your glove box, it's going to be remove the front seats. Just remove them. You don't need them. They're going to be in the way.
You know what? That will get a million hits on our YouTube channel right there. Boys and
Actually,
girls,
every home
you go.
improvement or car improvement I do, I should video it. The pure comedy of it.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's
I can understand that.
definitely when I'm trying to be serious and get something done, I'm a hell of a lot more funny than I am when I'm trying to be funny because, well, I
Yeah,
punched a laptop. So,
right. I do remember that too. I
yeah.
remember that conversation. Yeah. No, yeah,
So patience we talked about earlier. Yeah, not a
yeah.
virtue for this guy.
I I'm not really learning. I'm not learning a new skill, not yet, at least. But kind of like you. I'm kind of honing skills that I've already had. One of them is a work skill. That's one that I really didn't. Um, I knew it would happen eventually, but I'm actually being more of a mentor to a young designer that's started, and she's kind of like, I don't know that I've actually been classified as her mentor, like through any sort of documentation, but she worked on my projects first. Like when she first got on, she was working with me all the time. And now she's not working with me anymore because I don't have a need for another person to help me do my job. And so she's off helping other people. But, she was running into a problem on a project and she called me today through our Microsoft Teams and was talking to me about it. And so I was kind of giving her some advice and all that kind of stuff. When I got done, I looked at my wife, who was sitting in this chair, and I was sitting right back there. I turn around and look at my wife, and I go, "When did I get old? Like
It
I'm,
creeps up
I'm,
on you.
I'm not old enough to be somebody's mentor. Like I've got the mind, like I've got the mentality of a 13-year-old. Like I don't. I'm a juvenile. Like there's no yeah, there's no mentor in me, but apparently I kind of am. So,
Yeah, it happens. I tell people all the time that it wasn't all that long ago. I was always the youngest person at work.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden one day it's like, how did I become the oldest?
right.
I was always the young guy. I was
Yeah.
always the one they made fun of for being young.
Yeah. Yeah, and now I'm making fun of people for being young. Like the
Yeah.
fact that I was talking to somebody before the quarantine, I was talking to somebody about movies and I brought up Office Space and they're like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "You what? You can't work in a cubicle farm and not watch Office Space. Like you need to go watch this. Like this should be required college prep material. Like if you're going to graduate from college, you have to watch this movie because this is what your life's going to be like."
Yeah. This is
And
it's like Idiocracy. It's sold as a comedy, but it's really a documentary.
yes. Yes. That is true. That is true. But yeah, so there's that. There's that skill and then the other one that I'm working on is my soccer coaching skill. Um
Nice.
it is really really hard to coach in quarantine via Zoom. Have you heard of Zoom?
Oh yeah, I've used Zoom.
So yeah, it's like a meeting, online meeting thing, like video calls. It's like multi-user Skype, which I think you could probably do the same thing in Skype, but it's free. And so yeah, we're doing that, and so I have today For 40 minutes, I had 11, 10, I think I had 10 kids show up. 10 8-year olds, 6, 7, and 8-year olds that I'm trying to give soccer direction to while they're each in their at their own in their own backyard with a phone so that I can see what they're doing.
You're braver than I am.
It was nuts, man. It was nuts. It was chaotic. Like I got done and like I, I was sitting here, in my nice, in my good podcast recording, had my mic, my good mic here, my headphones. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. At one point, I look up because you can see like all the different cameras of all the other kids. I've got it in that like gallery view where you can see everybody. At one point, I saw teeth like they were trying to bite the camera because these kids were just goofing off. I'm like, they weren't listening to a word I was saying. Like, I'm like, when did I lose control? Wait, oh, I never had control. So there's where my patience is coming in. So that's, yeah. It's
Fair enough.
it has been crazy, man. It has
Yeah,
been crazy.
it's something. I mean, before we get on to our actual topics, I do want to throw something out there, and it's actually a website.
Okay.
And what's on everybody's mind is, when is this going to be over? So there's a website called covid19.healthdata.org, and it
Okay.
is put together by this. They're called IHME. I can't remember what that stands for. It's a health organization, and you can put in what country, what state, and it takes all the data that's current and shows you when it's projected to crest and all that good stuff. Um, According to this website, we're pretty dang close to the peak of this thing. So if you want some good news, or at least start feeling better about what the hell is going on, go to covid19.healthdata.org and take a
Cool.
look.
Right on, man. I'm gonna have to take
The
a look at this.
fascinating one is you can switch states. I highly recommend switching to New York because I feel like that's the kind of the ground zero for it for the United States.
Yeah.
And they predicted the crest was today.
Oh,
But
nice.
now that I'm looking at it, yeah, yeah. The last set of data they had on there for this, it was 2 days ago. So when they get it updated, I'm curious to see if they hold their projection of it cresting today.
Right.
Actually,
Crazy.
they had it cresting on the 7th. They've even adjusted it since the last time I looked at it.
Huh.
So, um, I think it's a great website to look at and just kind of check it out because it has deaths per day. It actually shows hospital beds needed versus what they have available for just regular beds and ICU and ventilators and everything, to kind of give you an idea where your area is.
Right.
You and I live in Kansas, and as far as beds and ventilators and ICU, were well under.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but you look at New York, and they're well over.
Mm-hmm.
So, it kind of gives you an idea of what's actually going on. Even their projected in Kansas doesn't come anywhere close to maxing out beds available.
Right.
According to this, Kansas has 4,810 available, and they project at the highest 485 needed. So if you live in Kansas, it makes you at least feel pretty good that if you catch this, you have a bed
Yeah.
in a hospital. But I just feel like the data is not happy by any stretch of the imagination, but you can kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel by looking at this.
Yeah.
If it's accurate at all, uh, you know, this has by June 1st no deaths.
Yeah.
So, in fact, in Kansas, they have it May 24th is when it just stops.
Hmm.
So,
Crazy. Oh, that's really good. I'm kind of glad you found that because I was trying to find something about this earlier. Like, I was trying to find, and this goes completely off topic of what we were going to talk about today, but that's okay because it's important. Um, I was trying to find, I had found an article quite a while ago, and I had found an article that was basically the projections of what, like, if we didn't do this whole quarantine thing, if we didn't go into lockdown and tell everybody to stay home, what would have happened? Um, Kind of gave you that that graphic picture like what you see in all these outbreak movies where you know they show it on the screen and it's like, well, it starts here and then it expands and it's like now it's here, 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 and it's everywhere. And it was kind of that same kind of idea, but it was written in a way that I could read and understand. And I read it and thought it was really good. Took a lot of information from it, and then somebody else was complaining about something or trying to make this all political, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You need to read this article because this has no political leanings one way or the other. This is just the facts of what would happen based off of the probability of like how many people on an average day you run into. Like, you need to read this, and then I couldn't find it again. So maybe I can find it with it through here.
yeah, there's, I found this um, so I watch a lot of videos on health.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of videos put together by doctors and hospitals, and one of them mentioned this website. And yeah, if you're just tired of the news being the way it is, because let's be honest, news in America is designed to scare you
Yeah.
because
Oh
that's
yeah.
how they make their money. If you're
Mm-hmm.
scared, you'll continue to tune in. Well, this takes all the numbers that they're trying to scare you with and puts it into his actual real information so you can really see what's going on. And it makes me feel at least a little bit better about where we're at.
Yeah.
Not that, we're out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, but it feels like we're getting near that point that we've all been talking about since this started, and that is the peak.
Yeah.
And I feel like once we reach that peak, it's going to be like we're all going to just take a deep breath and go, holy cow, it's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
then that's what this website does for me anyway. I look at it and go, holy cow, if we continue to be smart by June 1st, you know, I don't know if we'll be back to normal, but at least people won't be dying.
right. Yeah. Huh. Kind of crazy, man.
It's totally nuts. I never thought in my lifetime I would have to go through something like this, but here we are.
Yeah. Man. Well, that's good to know. I'm gonna hang on to that website. Thanks for
Yep,
pointing
I'm
that out.
curious to see how projections change as the days go by, but yeah. So I just thought I'd share this site with everybody because I think it's very valuable.
Yeah. That's really cool. Good call, Kip. Good call. So, how about we do something on the lighter side now?
Let's do that.
No more talk of that, but hey, since we're in quarantine, we're watching movies, we're watching TV, we're sitting around not doing anything else. So,
We're trying
um,
to keep from going crazy.
yeah, so I finally got to watch the 2019 movie Knives Out by Rian Johnson. This is Rian Johnson of Star Wars fame. Um, I also did not know that Rian Johnson actually directed 2 or 3 episodes of Breaking Bad. I didn't realize that. So this guy's
And
really
yeah,
good. Anyway, this movie came out in 2019. I wanted to see it in the theater and then never was able to get to the theater to see it because I couldn't convince it. I couldn't convince my wife to go see it with me, and it, have a hard time like going to see a movie and leaving her with the kids. So usually try to get out, and we took the kids with us to see a lot of movies, and this one's definitely not one that the kids are not going to enjoy. This one, it's not, doesn't really have anything bad in it that kids couldn't see, um but it just wouldn't entertain them, let's put it that way. This is a an American mystery, murder mystery, who done it type movie. Takes place in kind of a modern time. um I compared this thing originally. I When I was pitching it to my wife to watch it, I'm like, it's kind of like a new version of Clue. And boy, was I ever right and wrong at the same time. This movie was amazingly good, has incredible storytelling and amazing actors: Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Anna de Armas, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of like people in this movie. Like, it is a star-studded cast, and they eat up the like screen when they are on it. Like, these characters, you can tell the characters, you could tell they each have their own personalities. It was amazing, um, with the way the actors and actresses worked within this movie. I thought that was awesome. The story has twists and turns and takes you in directions you had no idea where it was going. And the best part about this movie is when you get done, you get an idea at the beginning of what's going to happen. That changes as you move on, and then it changes again, and it changes again, and at the end of the movie, so like the final thing, you sit there and the ending credits run and you go, holy cow, that was a roller coaster. Like, I had no idea. Like, what did I just get done watching? It's it just keeps you, it keeps you on it keeps you on the edge of your seat, but not by suspense, not by drama, but just by the movie and the presence of the characters. The characters keep you on your seat. Their dialogue, their, you know it's a whodunit when you go into it. The whole movie starts as a whodunit. The dead guy dies at the beginning of the movie. But as you learn little different pieces of it, like, you it just keeps you on your toes trying to solve the mystery. And I'm staying very vague because Kip hasn't seen it and he's
I have
wanting to see it.
not.
So I'm keeping very vague. This is probably where we'll end this discussion. But it's a great movie. I really enjoyed it. And I did not feel like I wasted my time watching this movie at all. I think this was definitely. This was listed as one of the top 10 movies of 2019. I would absolutely agree. and the characters. Daniel Craig plays the detective in this. He's supposed to be like the Sherlock Holmes or type character, and he is so good in this role, and the way he plays it is so funny. And Jamie Lee Curtis is probably her and Don Johnson are married in this, and those two on screen together, like feeding off of each other, was hilarious. So funny. So,
I'm
highly
a big fan
recommend.
of Daniel Craig, so I'm really looking forward to seeing this.
And Chris Evans. I mean, it's got Captain America in it, not as Captain America. So,
What?
yeah, it's hard to look at him and not think Captain America. Um, but yeah, it he does it. He does an incredible job too. He kind of plays a punk kid, and well, a, a punk kid in the sense that he's a grown up. Like, I mean, out of college type thing, or never went to college age. So he plays it really well, and really fun. So really good movie. Go watch Knives Out.
I will. Don't
Watch it.
pressure me.
Do it. Do it right now. So the other movie that we ended up watching, and we ended up watching this tonight, so it's fresh in my mind, but it's not a new movie. But I hadn't seen it in a really long time. My kids have found Muppets Most Wanted. So they watched the Muppets Most Wanted. We've watched it together, but they've watched it on their own now since this whole um, quarantine thing. And they really like the music from that, and which has turned them down like the rabbit hole of other Muppet songs. So one of the ones that my youngest son sings all the time now is Moving Right Along by Kermit and Fozzie, and it's from the Muppet Movie, the original The Muppet Movie from 1979, not to be confused with Muppet Movie, which came out in 2014. So the Muppet Movie. This one is the one from 1979. This one is the story of Kermit leaving the swamp to go pursue his dream of being an entertainer in Hollywood, and along the way he runs into Fozzie Bear and um, the Electric Mayhem Company, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Ralph, Bunsen and Beaker, um, the whole group. And this movie, I mean, the two songs that everybody knows from this is Rainbow Connection, which is, you
Right.
know, his very first song that he sings, and then Moving Right Along, which is like the second song in the movie. Two most popular songs that this thing has ever had. But so tonight we watched it with my kids for the first time, and it was one, I forgot how funny this movie was for adults, because it's got joke humor in it. I mean, there are jokes left and right that I'm sitting there watching this movie and I am laughing. Like I like start laughing out loud at, and I don't remember which joke it was, but it was just it was a really bad dad joke. Oh, it was one where Miss Piggy and Kermit were having like a romantic dinner, and she ends up like getting a phone call and ends up leaving and leaves him there. And so this is where he runs into Ralph, and he's sitting there. He sings a whole song with Ralph, and then Kermit gets a phone call and he goes to take it, and Ralph sits there and goes, for somebody so green, I've never seen somebody so blue. And like I am laughing my ass off. And Reese looks over at me, he's like, Dad, what's so funny? I'm like, dude, didn't you hear the joke? He's like, what joke? So I read it back to him, it's like, He's green, but he's blue, and he looks at me, and I'm like, blue, like the color, sad, but he's blue, like play on words, and he's like, oh, I get it. I'm like, oh my lord, like, but it's that dad joke humor, it's that adult humor. The jokes that they put in there were like they just fit for adults really well, but the movie also fits for the kids. I feel like this was, Shrek was kind of one of those movies where when it came out, adults enjoyed watching it because of all the innuendos and things like that that were in that movie. I feel like this is the movie that started that. Um, I mean, at least as far as I can remember, I don't. I mean, I've seen some old movies, but I don't remember any before this one where they had they had this kind of humor. But we were talking about a star-studded cast that was in Knives Out. This one has a crazy amount of people. Um, Not just like the people that perform for the as Muppets, like Jim Henson and Frank Oz, and all those people, but also people like Dom DeLuise and Austin Pendleton and Charles Durning, Steve Martin, Mel Brooks. Like
Oh
there's
yeah, yeah.
all kinds of people in this thing. And it was funny as they were coming up because my kids have seen other movies, and they're like, Reese looked at me. He's seen Father of the Bride, and so when Steve Martin came up, he plays the waiter on that romantic dinner, and Reese is like, he looks really familiar. I'm like, that's the dad from Father of the Bride, and he goes, oh, that guy's funny. Like, yes, yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
So yeah, it was really good, and it was fun to kind of let these kids experience something that was not this movie is 40 years old, almost 41 years, this year. So it it definitely holds up. It is worth its weight. It is worth going back and watching again. And the best part of it, guys, you can watch it on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus, they have the Muppet Movie, they have the Great Muppet Caper, they have the Muppet Christmas Carol, they have uh, Muppet Treasure Island, and the Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. So they don't have the two that they don't have that I wish they did was the Muppets Take Manhattan and Muppets from Space. But Muppets Take Manhattan's one of my favorites. That one and the Great Muppet Caper
Yeah,
are
there's just something about those Muppet movies. They don't get the credit for as funny as they really are.
yeah, yeah, that it's so true, so true. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun seeing the kids enjoy these as much as I did. I was their age watching these movies. So yeah, really really fun, and it was kind of it just means that now we're gonna watch the Great Muppet Caper, and I'm going to find the Muppets Take Manhattan because that one is really good. But then we'll also get the Christmas Carol and Treasure Island, and get all of the older ones in first. Then we'll work our way back up to the current.
There you go. Sounds like a good plan.
I've even got the entire series of all 5 seasons of the Muppet Show from the 70s and 80s too.
Yeah, that version of the Muppet Show was so good back
Yeah,
then. I mean, even the reboot was really good, but I don't think people got the humors like they did in the 70s and 80s
right, right. Yeah,
because
I
it
think
didn't
so.
last very long, even though it was hilarious.
Disney Plus has that version. Has that version of the Muppet Show up. The newer one doesn't have the original one, but maybe one of these days it will. But yeah, I thought that was awesome. I didn't realize that Disney Plus had that stuff in there. And yeah,
Good stuff, man.
anytime you get to see a bear in its natural habitat, Studebaker. So yeah, what do
Oh,
you got?
Fozzie.
What have you been watching there, Kip?
Well, we've talked about a lot of shows and everything right now are pretty dark. Not happy. I need to watch the Muppet Show, I guess. But
Yeah.
we're watching Westworld, and we got done with the latest episode, and then we started watching something else. I was like, we need something light and fluffy. So the new season of Nailed It came out on Netflix. So we've been watching Nailed It. And for those of you who have never watched Nailed It, it is a baking competition for people who suck at baking.
Yeah.
It's not just a baking competition. These things that they have them try to create, oh, they're just so complicated.
Oh
And then
yeah.
you take in bakers who are less than amateur status and giving them no time to get it done and seeing what they come up with. It's hilarious. I mean, if you want a show where you can watch it and just laugh out loud, Nailed It is it. Um, they do it. They do a thing where that shows them what they have to make, and then you watch them try to build it, and then they have a reveal on what it looks like when they're all done. And there are times when they lift up the veil for you to see, and you just can't help but bust out laughing.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel bad for these people because they aren't given enough time. They're not really given full directions on how to get it done. And the directions they do get, they don't follow. So it's hilarious in that aspect. But it does take your mind off the fact that you're quarantined.
Yeah, those we always laugh because um that show is one of those that when we get done watching it, my kids, they're the ones that started watching it, and then we started all watching it together as a family. My kids turn and look at my wife and go, "Mom, you should be on that show. Like you're better. You could beat every one of those people." So much so that we actually, it wasn't this last winter, but the winter before, they actually went through a Christmas cake cookbook and said and picked out one and said, "Mom, this is what you have to make. Like, you can get all the stuff for it, but we're gonna this weekend, like, we're gonna have a nailed it challenge, and you have to make this cake."
Nice.
And it was like it turned out better than what most of the people came up with there, and we don't have all of the top-notch tools and ingredients like the giant pantry of whatever they could want at our house. So we had to make do with some things that we didn't have or that you can't find in a grocery store in the middle of Kansas. Um, Turned out really well. So yeah, my wife
That's
was
good.
she could nail it on that show.
Well, sometimes I wonder about their
Selection.
selection process.
Yeah.
Did they tell these people to just act like you don't know anything, or do they truly not know anything? Because there's quite a few episodes where the person does not know how to use a mixer,
Yeah.
the stand mixer. Yeah, it's like, granted, you may take a minute or two, but these people are like, they don't, you put the bowl in and you give it a little bit of a turn, it locks it into place.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They can't figure out why it won't do it. They're trying to open up the mixer while it's still running, and I'm like, oh my God. Are
Yeah.
you really this dumb, or did they tell you to be this dumb? Did they just say do stupid stuff and we'll film it?
No, I really think that, see, I think some of the first seasons of this. So this is the fourth season, I guess. Um, I think
Yeah.
technically it's the fourth season, but it's really like the sixth season because I did a couple holiday seasons in there. Um, we went back and watched some of the ones at the beginning. At the beginning, I felt like their selection was they were really trying to take people that knew how to do it, but then just gave them something, like gave them such short amount of time and gave them something that was so difficult that it became really hard. Like they could get close, but they were never going to get all the way there because they weren't like professional, but they were good. Like they knew what they were doing. And I feel like the level of competency from the contestants has gotten like gone down and down and down each of the seasons.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if it's not staged, you know?
You know, it's possible.
Because I would like to believe people are really, truly not that stupid. But then again,
Yeah,
Kansas just passed legislation allowing people to go to church on Sunday for Easter services.
yeah,
So
yeah,
stupidity does seem to be running rampant. So I don't know.
yeah. Well, and if you think about it, it's not necessarily that those people are stupid. It's just that they like the kitchen is not where they belong because there are some mistakes that they made. Like now, I know how to use a mixer, but there are some mistakes that they've made where I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know you couldn't do that. I mean, I
Oh
follow
yeah,
this
and those kinds of things I understand, but not knowing how to use a mixer,
yeah, but
seriously.
if you've never been in a kitchen, I mean maybe I mean come on, there's people that don't that have never been in a kitchen. They only eat out.
Yeah, but these people send in videos of them baking shit.
Yeah, I think that is staged.
So
I think it is literally they are finding people and then they doctor a video of like like or maybe they don't doctor the video, but they like have them help. Like, hey, we're gonna give you these. We're gonna come to your house and help you bake, and we're gonna record it, and we're gonna make it look like this is your entry video. We're gonna teach you how to bake, and then we're just gonna throw you into this show with nothing else. Like that's almost what I think they've done.
and that's a good possibility. I'm not gonna.
I don't want to shoot down in the entire like human race by the people that they have on Nailed It.
Oh, I'm not trying to define the entire human race. It's just these
Oh, they're
individuals
dumb. Oh, they are dumb.
that, and I don't know if they're really dumb or they just don't perform well under pressure. And once
Maybe,
the
yeah,
camera light comes on, they freak out.
yeah, exactly. I don't
I don't know
know.
what
It
it
could be
is,
that.
but it still makes me laugh.
Oh, it does. It is so entertaining. So entertaining. Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
have to. I didn't realize that this latest season just came out, like just this last April. So I haven't watched that, or this last April, last week, on April 1st. So I did not realize that that came out then. So I
Yeah, and
hadn't
it's
seen that one
it's
yet.
farging hilarious. I mean, holy cow! I
Yeah,
I laughed so hard a couple of times. It's like, jeez.
yeah. We're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to let the family know about that one. That's gonna make it onto our list.
What's funny about that show, from my perspective, is the first season I didn't know if I was going to like it
Yeah.
because the host Nicole was it Nicole
Yeah.
Byers.
Yeah.
I thought this woman's going to annoy the hell out of me, and I'm not going to be able to watch the show. I ended up being wrong. I actually love her. I think she's great. She makes the show for me.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, she is really good.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been watching. In fact, we just finished it, and then we watched all the Christmas specials because we hadn't seen those. So now it's trying to figure out what to watch next. So we'll see how it goes.
Right on. Right. Yeah, we're I have started Bosch. I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in, so um, well, starting at the beginning, watching it, really good. That was
I love Bosch. It's so
yeah,
great.
that was a good recommendation on your part. It has made it onto the list, and it will definitely get finished.
Very good.
Yeah, I probably won't be caught up by the time the new season starts because it starts here soon. But I will definitely get caught up and then watch the new season and maybe be there before the next season starts.
There you go.
That's a goal.
Real attainable goals. That's what
All
it's all
right.
about.
All right, guys. You know what? You know the drill here. Um, we got to wrap this up. We've been going on long enough. Lots of talks, lots of stuff. But you can go check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Geekvice. You can follow that man over there at Kip Killigan. You can go check out the YouTube channel. Maybe we'll get Kip fixing the switch in his car, or taking the seats out of his wife's car. Maybe that'll go up on YouTube. If you want to go find that, search for Kip Morph on YouTube. It'll take you right there.
Yeah, the funniest part will be me trying to get into the car.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's definitely, you got to tell
I'm
Holly
bigger than
she's
the
got to
car,
record it.
so.
Yeah, Holly's got to record this. Help us out, Holly. And of course, as always, you can reach us by email at geekvice@gmail.com. Thanks everyone for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next week.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.